The Detroit Pistons fall to 0-4 after squandering another fourth quarter lead and falling apart in the fourth quarter against the Miami Heat. What's going on? What can they do to get a win? What's happening late in these games? We'll talk about it in today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. I want to let you guys know that today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, Locked On Pistons now has a daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with an all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter along with your Locked On Pistons podcast. So, Pistons are 0-4, man. And yet again, fourth quarter shows up. They enter into the fourth quarter with a 1-point lead, and they go completely cold and lose this game. This is now 3 games where the Detroit Pistons, and I have to believe the fans, felt like they were going to win, or at least had a chance to win, and felt good about their chances entering into the fourth quarter. Just for the Pistons to fall apart again in the fourth quarter, go completely cold, and lose another tough game. Later on, we'll talk about some defensive issues. We'll talk about veterans as well, and later on in the podcast. But look, man, I ain't got nothing for you guys. I truly, this is how you know I have nothing for you guys. Hold on, hold on. We almost brought this out after Game 4. Game 4 of the season, this was almost brought out. Now, it's not on yet. The lights are still on. The black hood is not on. We're not there yet. But the fact that it's even out after 4 games should let you know. This thing was hanging up in the closet. I didn't think I would have to go in the closet and get this thing ever again. But after today, I had to go and grab it out the closet, let you know how close we're getting already after 4 games. Put this back down, but we're close. We're close. Light, dark room, black hood, we're close again. Can't believe it. After 4 games, I'm already saying that. But that's how disappointing this has been through 4 games already. The Detroit Pistons at one point in this fourth quarter, I believe it was with around 3.5 minutes left to go in the game, they were 0 of 6 from deep. I've never seen something like this before, where a team can play well, and as soon as the fourth quarter hits, it's not just one person, it's not 2, literally the entire team goes ice cold. It's been 3 games where they just go ice cold. It's not, and look, I'm not going to go through and analyze each possession for you guys again. I'm not going to go through and talk about the quality of their shots on each possession and break down how they got them. Not going to do that for you guys this episode. All you need to know is they had multiple open shots and they miss them. They just straight up miss them. I don't get it. I don't have anything for you guys. Cade started off this game absolutely tremendous. Made his first 6 shots, 13 points, but then got in foul trouble. And then the Pistons were never able to ride his hot hand, because every time he came back into the game, after about 3 minutes, he gets in foul trouble again. They were never able to ride the hot hand that Cade had. As the best player on your team, when you have a hot hand like that, and you are the only person, Cade was the only person outside Tim Hardaway Jr. in that third quarter, Cade was the only person to have it going offensively and carrying them. As the best player, you have to stay on the floor. You cannot go to the bench because of foul trouble. They need you on the floor. They have to ride your hot hand, and they weren't able to do that with Cade because he was in foul trouble. So that's a mistake on his part. He has to be available on the floor. And then what ends up happening is, once you get into foul trouble, now you can't play as aggressive defensively because you don't want to pick up another one and have to sit on the bench again. There's a big trickle-down effect. You would have loved to see the Pistons be able to ride Cade's hot hand because he was absolutely cooking. But it is what it is. Along with that, you probably got Jaden Ivey's first bad game of the year. He hit a few shots at the end of this game. I don't want to call him straight up garbage time, but it was borderline garbage time where he hit those shots. Up until that point, played really not well at all. Tobias Harris again. I mean, we'll talk more about them later, but Tobias Harris, another stinker of a game. Malik Beasley, stinker of a game. Simone Fontecchio, stinker of a game. The Pistons shot 38% from the field in this game. In the fourth quarter, they shot 27%. They made 6 shots as a team in the fourth quarter. 6 shots. 3 of 11 from deep. I don't know what, I truly don't know what to tell you guys. It's disappointing because this is a game, like I told you guys in the last episode, the Pistons had to win this game. They just had to. They just have to. Because their schedule is not leaning up. I saw someone tweet out earlier today the strength of schedule through 3 games. Pistons have had the hardest schedule in the entire NBA through 3 games. It's not getting any easier. You go against the Heat. Now you got the Sixers and then the Knicks. Very possible the Pistons start off 0-6 now. And you've had 3 chances to at least steal one. To at least steal one so you can go into so you can leave this opening 8-game stretch and say we're 3-5. We made it out. We made it out this stretch. It was a tough stretch, wasn't great, but we made it out. Now, it's going to be hard to say that they make it out. Is anyone thinking they're going to beat Philadelphia? The Knicks? If they don't beat the Nets on the 3rd, they could start 0-10 again. Not again, they didn't do it last year, but you could be looking at a season like that. You needed to get this game. You absolutely needed to get this game because of what's coming up. And now you find yourself 0-4 with another chance to win a game squandered because your entire team goes ice cold. And to be honest, look, I think probably what this is, and people aren't going to like to hear this, but I think this is probably what's going to end up being the case this year for this Pistons team. Until they actually do it, until they actually close a fourth quarter out, it's never going to happen. Now, I say that, you guys are probably like, well, no, duh. That's, of course. I mean, that's common sense. What I mean by that is this team, after what happened last year and what they've been through the last few years, they are going to continue to blow leads until they finally have that dam broken. And once they have that dam broken, I think once that finally happens, you'll start to see a flux of wins happen. I think you'll start to see them play pretty well. I think you'll start to see some wins stack up. But until they finally get that dam broken, it's just going to keep piling up and piling up and piling up and piling up. They have to break the dam. One of these games, they have to break the dam. And I think once they do that, once they can get through the mental part of the fact that they haven't been able to close fourth quarters or win close games over the last year, 2 years, once they can get through that and actually do it, I think you'll start to see them do it. I think you'll start to see them stack those wins. But right now, they just can't. They can't. They haven't been able to do it, and it's just it's shocking. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I've never seen a full team go ice cold multiple times over and over and over again. Not just one person, not 2, not 3. The entire team. It's crazy. It's just crazy. I really don't got nothing for you guys. I'm speechless. I'm speechless after watching this game, man. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill. What's going on, man? How you guys feeling? When we come back, the Pistons have something else going on that look, when you have a question for something, you don't see an answer, a possible answer, a pathway to an answer on the roster, you have a problem. You have a problem no matter how early it is in the season. And I think you might be finding one right now with the Detroit Pistons. I'm a procrastinator. I wait to the last second with literally just about everything. And it often screws me over when I'm going to buy tickets, whether it's for a theater event, a concert, a sporting event, whatever it is. I end up screwing myself over, but not with Game Time. Game Time has saved me because all the way up until the last minute, they have incredible deals. And sometimes even after the event start, they have incredible deals for your ticketing, whether it's for whatever event you're buying tickets for. Game Time got you. All in pricing, they also have the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Another great thing about Game Time, you can see the view from your seat within the app to know if that seat is best for you. Along with that, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. To let you guys in behind the curtain real quick, just, let you guys know backstage. This is my second time recording this episode. I recorded a 37-minute one first, and apparently it just wasn't picking up my mic. Now, I say that to say this. You would think that with me getting the black hoodie out the closet and threatening to turn the lights off after Game 4, just me doing that, you think that adding on top of it, you having to again go back and record the same episode again, that would have just forced me to put the hood on. Like, I almost put the hood on just because of that. It almost felt like a sign from God saying, "Koo, this episode was not good enough because you did not have the hood on. It deserves the hood. You need to bring Darth Koo back." It felt like God trying to tell me bring Darth Koo back. But we're going to fight it off. 4 games, way too early to bring Darth Koo out, but damn close. It was damn close. All right, so look. Obviously, there's multiple things you can talk about with this team at 0-4. I feel like there are quite a few things that can be explained away with this team. There's quite a few things where you can say, okay, I have an answer for this, or I have an answer for that, or this can happen and it'll be fine. Or, I feel like there's quite a few things going on that you feel like you have an answer for, or the Pistons probably feel like they can have an answer for. However, I don't care if it's Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, or Game 4. If there is a question, if you're seeing something on the court through 4 games, and it's a question that you have, and you can't find and you can't simply see an answer to that question within the roster, I don't care if it's just through 4 games, you have a massive problem. You're going to have a problem. And that's where we're at with the Pistons defense. The Pistons defense is going to be a problem. Now look, the funny thing is about this, the Pistons defense is currently ranked 29th in the or 26th in the NBA defensive rating, 118.1. The hilarious thing about that is I feel like JB has gotten that out of them. Because I feel like he's gotten them just to be 26th. They should probably be lower. I feel like that he's gotten good stretches out of them. He's gotten good quarters out of them defensively. But that's the best he's probably going to be able to do with this roster. If you watch this game against the Miami Heat, the Detroit Pistons found themselves in rotation nonstop throughout the entire game. The Miami Heat got over 43s taken in this game. They shot 47 threes within this game. Now, they only shot 32%, but it did not matter. It didn't matter that they only made 15 shots. First of all, they took 47, made one more three than the Pistons. That in and of itself is a problem. But if you watch the game, despite them missing those threes, they were getting the Pistons in rotation so much that they were creating open threes, which then had the Pistons constantly scrambling, and it allowed easy lanes to the basket, easy looks at the rim. The Pistons were in scramble mode the entire night because they could not stop dribble penetration. They could not stop guys from getting to the paint, and they weren't crisp with their rotations. And when you're constantly in rotation, every single play, every single possession, your rotations are not going to be on point. No team wants to live in rotations like that. And the Pistons were in rotations all night against this Miami Heat team. All night. They start Cade, Jane Ivey, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren. There's not one plus defender on that team. Not one. Or not one plus defender in that lineup. And the thing is, Jalen Duren actually had a fine night defensively. I'd say he had 3 blocks in this game. So, fine night. But they don't have a positive defender in that lineup. And this isn't a shot at JB. JB's doing the best with what he got. It's not like you can just, let's bring in Malik Beasley. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, that's your options. Last game against the Boston Celtics, we were watching Jaden Ivey and Tim Hardaway Jr. guard Jason Tatum on purpose. It wasn't like off a switch. It wasn't off of a pick and roll. It wasn't off a screen, a backdoor. No, it was purposely the Pistons had these guys guarding them because they don't have any other better options. And look, Asar Thompson, I'm just going to act like he's not on the team because we don't have an update on him. We don't have an update until we get an update on him. We're just going to act like he's not on the team because we don't know when he's coming back. We don't know if he's even coming back this year. That's not me trying to say he's not coming back this year, but we don't know. We truly don't. We have no idea when we'll see Asar Thompson. So to sit here and act like that we may, when Asar comes back, when Asar does this, we don't know. We don't know when he's going to show up in this season. And as someone who was, I don't think you guys can find another person who was more all in on Asar Thompson than me in this community. I don't know if you can find someone else. And even me, I could not have imagined his impact being missed this much, this soon, this quickly. Like, I could not have imagined it being like this so quick. They have no one that can stop dribble penetration. They had Cade on Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier's just too fast. He was getting around Cade every time. You got Jaden Ivey trying to guard Jimmy Butler, too small. You got Jaden Ivey trying to guard Jaime Jaquez, too small. Like, Tyler Hero, too small. Like, they don't have good options. They don't have good options for these players. So it's just going to be a continued struggle. Simone Fontecchio hasn't been a very good defender to start this year. He hasn't had a good start to the year. Malik Beasley isn't a great defender. And then the problem that you then find yourself with, if you're JB Bickerstaff, is, okay, you saw it a little bit in this game. Okay, do you go switch heavy to take away threes with Jalen Duren on the floor, even though he's not a good switch big man? He's not a good switch defender. You go switch just to try to take away the threes and then give up nonstop dribble penetration because Jalen Duren can't guard in the perimeter because you need his offense. Or do you bring Isaiah Stewart into the game so he can go switch defense? But Isaiah Stewart has just stopped shooting threes. He doesn't pop anymore for some reason through 4 games. And he's not bringing you anything really offensively. He was 0-3 tonight. He only had 2 points from 2 free throws. He's not a good finisher. He's not very good as a pick and roll man. And what has been developed of him, which is his outside shot over the last few years, he's just not taking threes the first 4 games. So if you're JB, you're now stuck with this decision of, okay, I can play Duren and go switch heavy because we need his we need his offense. We need his playmaking offensively. We need his finishing offensively. We need his screen and roll game. We need that offensively, and then just hope he survives. Or you bring in Stu and just hope that you can make something happen offensively. Like, the Pistons don't have any easy answers for solving their defense. Honestly, the only answer I have for their defense is their offense. The only answer they have is to be better offensively. They have to hit more threes. They have to get more threes up. They can't go ice cold for 8-minute stretches. The entire team can't happen. You have to score and consistently make this team or make your opponent get the ball out the basket. That's their only chance. You have to consistently make them get the ball out the basket. If you don't do that, if you're not scoring 110, 115 points, it's over with. Because they don't got enough defensive personnel. They just don't. Honestly, saying enough defensive personnel is saying it kindly. They just don't have defensive personnel. They just don't. So when you get those stretches, when you get those quarters of JB Bickerstaff getting that defense out of them, the takeaway should not be, why can't they do this for the full game? Why are they just choosing now to focus? No, the takeaway should be, thank you, JB Bickerstaff, for getting at least this out of this defensive personnel. Because honestly, you shouldn't even be able to get this out of them because of how bad the defensive personnel is, especially at the point of attack. I mean, the Pistons were in rotation. I swear to God, if you watch this game, they were in rotation the entire night. Constantly. The entire night was in rotation. They're lucky that Miami did not drop 120 on their heads because they got wide open shots that felt like almost every possession. They were getting whatever they wanted damn near every possession. I mean, I ain't got nothing, man. That right there is, I think the offense is going to be all right. I think the offense will be fine eventually. Defensively, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know where JP's going to find an answer for them defensively. And when you build a roster that is offensive heavy, your veterans are offensive heavy, scoring, shooting, spacing. When that's what you got on your roster, you need them to be able to do that to offset their defense. And to move into the next segment, they're not doing that. And without that, you're just going to lose games. You're just going to, because you're not getting anything then. You're not getting the offense or the defense. And now you get 0-4. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Hit that subscribe button at the Locked On Pistons daily newsletter over at LockedOnDaily.com. Get a daily newsletter from Locked On Pistons along with your Locked On Pistons daily podcast. And also hit that subscribe button at my personal YouTube channel at Cade Cunningham. You'll get a daily breakdown of the Detroit Pistons, film breakdown of the Pistons every single day, damn near. Definitely after every single Pistons game. I have one cooking up of going through. I'm going to try to go through every single Cade turnover. I don't know if we'll get through every single one, but I'll try to go through and get like the general idea out there and break down his turnover. So stay tuned for that video coming up. If Trajan Langdon, and it's not if, Trajan Langdon did assemble an offensive roster. He assembled an offensive-heavy roster with offensive veterans who score and shoot the basketball. That's what he acquired. They can't play defense. The positive with that is you have a great offense. You'll create a great offense. You'll create spacing for your main players. They'll get to play better. And your spacing and your scoring from your veterans will help you have a great offense, a much better offense to where you can survive and win games because you are scoring enough points. However, when you are not getting that, you are basically screwed because they're not going to play well defensively and they're not going to hit shots and score the basketball. There's nothing else you can do for the team, really. And it's not like you have other options on the team. And the reason why I bring that up is the Detroit Pistons veterans have not been able to show up for the Pistons consistently through 4 games. Tobias Harris has had probably the worst start he probably could have imagined to the season. And this is coming from someone who was fine with the signing, and liked Tobias as a player. Tobias, over the last 6 or 7 years, has consistently been an efficient 18-point-per-game scorer. That's what he's been. And he hasn't been anything close to that for the Pistons this year. No one's asking him to be a superstar. No one's asking him to be an all-star. No one's asking him to do any of that. Everyone's just asking him to be what he's been for the last 6-7 years. And he hasn't been that so far. First 4 games of the year, 46% from the field, 33% from the field, 18% from the field, 36% from the field. He is currently shooting 3 of 17 from deep. He is 0 of 8 from deep over the last 2 games. They are not going to win any games with Tobias playing like that. Any games. And let me make this clear. Cade needs to make shots in the fourth quarter. He did not make shots in this game in the fourth quarter. They need him to make shots in the fourth quarter. It would have been a lot better if he stayed out of foul trouble and could have continued to ride his hot hand. He wasn't able to do that. He constantly was getting yanked in, yanked out, and wasn't able to get into a flow again by his own doing. Can't do that. Just can't. Cade needs to make more shots in the fourth quarter. Make his open shots. Jaden Ivey needs to be more consistent game to game. Yeah, that needs to happen. Those 2 guys are quite literally not even close to on the list of why the Pistons are 0-4. My goodness. They're not even at the bottom of the list. They're not on the list. Those 2 guys are the only positive things coming out of the Pistons season through 4 games. Is the fact that those 2 guys look like they both have improved their games, have taken their game to the next level, and can thrive together. Those are the only 2 positives right now through 4 games. The only 2 positives. The reason why one of the main reasons, actually the main reason, number 1 from my list of why they haven't been able to win games, we'll get to the rest of the reasons in just a few seconds. Number 1 is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris was supposed to be the major difference maker at that starting forward position. The spacer at the power forward position, the scorer that they haven't had at the power forward position, are true 4 in 2024. That's what they got with Tobias Harris, and he was supposed to provide that big of a difference. And you saw him making that big of a difference in the preseason. But he hasn't been able to translate that to the regular season at all. He's played bad, really bad in the regular season for the Pistons. Now, again, I expect the offense to be all right because I expect him to turn that around. He has too long of a history of him being a good offensive player for me to believe that he's just not going to be, he's just never going to be a good offensive player again. That's not going to happen. He's been a good offensive player for way too long in his career. He's going to be fine. It's just 4 games, tough 4 games, but it's been the number one reason why they've been losing. The other reasons, a guy like Malik Beasley, 1 of 12 in this game. They're not going to win games when your veteran scorers and spacers are not hitting shots. They are 1 of 12. Malik Beasley, that is. He was 1 of 7 from deep in 18 minutes. 1 of 12. You have no chance. You have no chance if your spacers aren't going to hit shots. Simone Fontecchio has not had a good start to the season at all. 2 of 9 from the floor. 1 of 5 from deep. You have no chance at winning games if your spacers are not going to hit shots and your veterans are not going to be the veterans you signed them to be. You have no chance. 0. The only reason why the Pistons were in this game was because Cade was hot early. He was carrying them through 3 quarters. Carrying them through 3 quarters in this game. In the third quarter, Tim Hardaway Jr. woke up, 3 of 6 from deep. He woke up in the third quarter, did his thing. And overall, I would say that THJ has been what you wanted him to be. He had a rough game against Boston, but overall, I'd say THJ has been exactly what you wanted him to be. 4 threes in the first game, 3 threes in the last game, or in the Cleveland game, 3 threes in this game. I think THJ has overall done what you wanted him to do. But you need more than just one rotation player to end up doing his job. They need Tobias to show up and actually hit shots in the fourth quarter. He has not made a 3 in the last 2 games. They were 0 of 6 from deep with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I guarantee you almost all those threes were open looks. They just have to hit. They need their guys to hit shots, and they just haven't been able to do that. They shot 38% from the field tonight in this game. In the fourth quarter, they shot 27%. 27% from 3 and from the floor. 6 of 22 from the floor. If you took away Cade, Ivy, and Tim Hardaway Jr.'s threes, they combined for 12 of the Pistons' 14 threes. You take away their threes, the rest of the Pistons were a combined, 2 of... I can't do the math real quick. Was it 6, 13, 16? They were a 2 of 16, the rest of the Pistons, outside of Cade, Ivy, and Tim Hardaway Jr. That's not good enough. It's just flatly not good enough. You're not going to win games like that. The Detroit Pistons, with the way this roster is assembled, they have no chance at winning games if their veterans are not going to shoot the ball better. So they need the biggest talking point from the offseason was these veterans are better than last year's veterans. These veterans will play better. These veterans were better in the locker room. These veterans are better off the floor. The main talking point was how much better Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley were going to be over Bojan and Alec Burks. Well, damn it, they need them to be better than Bojan and Alec Burks. Because right now they haven't been, and that's why the Pistons are 0-4. That's all I've got for you guys today, man. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. Appreciate you guys making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button at LockedOnDaily.com for your Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. Hit the subscribe button at my YouTube channel at Kuka Hill for daily film breakdowns of your Detroit Pistons. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there, man. Until next time, peace out.